Cut 2 pieces of French collar canvas on the bias with a 1/2 inch seam allowance at center back and no seam allowance anywhere else. Lay them flat to each other and zigzag both raw edges. Cut a piece of bias wool
for your undercollar.
Start pad stitching exactly on the roll line. Pad stitch the stand part of the collar in vertical rows. Trim the neck edge seam allowance to about 3/8 of an inch and cross stitch it down. Use steam and a little pressure to stretch the outside edge of the collar and press it around a ham for a nice curved neck shape. Tape the back neckline. For a woman's jacket, bag out the outside edge and the back of the collar. For a man's jacket, stitch the undercollar to the top collar only along this edge and leave this open. After you finish the rest of the collar, you'll turn all of that seam allowance back and cross stitch it down. Slip stitch the undercollar to the outside of the neckline. Press the seam allowance open. Stitch the remaining tailor tape down onto the roll line of the collar. Cross stitch the neckline seam allowance down. I am going to stitch my lining at the shoulder and then flatline everything at the neck and turn the collar under, like that. Put the coat on the dress form and roll the top collar over the under collar so it sits nicely, and then baste it in place about 1/2 inch from the neckline. This part of that seam is particularly important since it shows all the time. If you are very careful about it, you can make it look almost invisible.